The Huawei Mate 30 Pro is a Google-free phone. Some of you may be thinking that's a good thing, but is it? And is it something you could live with? Well, we've had some hands-on time with this really interesting and very exciting new phone to find out. So what do I mean when I say Google-free phone? Well, some of you may already know the Huawei Mate 30 Pro does not come with Google Play or Google services installed, and it's all because of this very tedious and very annoying war between US government and Huawei itself, forcing Huawei not to be able to do business with US companies, and that means it can't use Google services. So instead what we have is Android open source project underneath Huawei's EMUI 10 user interface. So on the surface it looks exactly the same as the Huawei P30 Pro, but underneath it's ever so slightly different. You don't have Google Play installed out of the box, you don't have anything like Google Maps or Google Pay or the things you might find on the P30 Pro or any other major Android phone sold outside of China. There's the key point. This is actually a phone essentially sold in China because in China you don't get Google services on Android phones anyway. So what that means to you is if you've used an Android phone recently, well, it won't be anything like this one. You'll be missing all of those apps that you'd normally find: YouTube, Gmail, Google Maps, Google Drive, and so on and so on. And that's, well, it's a bit of a pain. But is it the end of the world? Well, no, there's other app stores. For a start, Huawei installs its own Huawei App Gallery. And, well, it's fine, but there isn't anything in there that you would expect to find in any other app store. It is a little bit China focused, as you'd imagine. However, with a quick go of your browser, you can install the Amazon App Store, and there's a lot more familiarity inside there. So you still can quite easily get familiar apps, but you will be missing anything that's banned in China. So obviously all of the Google apps, they don't work on this phone anyway, but things like WhatsApp and Facebook and Twitter and pretty much any social network or messaging app apart from WeChat. Then you have to do a little bit more exploring. If you're technically minded and you don't mind playing around, there are ways to get the Google Play Store on here. It's something we have done, and it's not that difficult. If you're willing to spend time, you can get the apps that you want onto your Huawei Mate 30 Pro. However, it is a little bit more difficult to get some of the Google services. Google Maps works correctly, but you won't be able to get Google Pay or anything that requires the full version of Android underneath the EMUI skin. So, for various boring political reasons, the Huawei Mate 30 Pro will never be a regular Android phone. It will always be a little bit different, and you're going to have to work to try and make it as similar as possible. So the question then becomes, is it worth it? Yes, of course it's worth it. Here's the first of two main reasons why you're going to still want the Huawei Mate 30 Pro. The first is the camera. For a start, look at it on the back. You have this amazing halo that goes around that circular camera bump, inside which there are 3 lenses and a single sensor. 2 of those lenses have got 40 megapixels each. The first one, the main camera lens, 40 megapixel and an f1.6 aperture, and that's a wide angle main lens. The second is an ultra wide lens, still with 40 megapixels and an f1.8 aperture. Then you've got Huawei's 8 megapixel telephoto lens. And finally, that sensor, well, that's a time of flight sensor, there to improve bokeh effects and to help focusing and to make AR systems possible too. And the results? Well, they're really impressive. So let's take a look at what the Huawei Mate 30 Pro's camera can do. If you're familiar with the P30 Pro or the Mate 20 Pro, then you'll notice a lot of what is here. You have the standard camera mode like this, and you have a wide angle camera mode like that. And then you have a 3x optical zoom and a 5x hybrid zoom. You don't have the 10x zoom that's seen on the P30 Pro, but you do have a ×30 full digital zoom if you want to use it. You'll notice that we're getting a greenery label here. That's Huawei's Master AI, which is activated by this button up here. So it provides scene recognition, giving you better settings depending on what you are looking at through the viewfinder. Over here as well, because this is a Leica tuned camera, another reason Huawei's cameras are always excellent, you have different camera filters which have all been created by or with the help of Leica to give you live filters as you go. There's also a similar system for when you're using video. And video is even more interesting because, although I'm not going to be able to demonstrate it here, there is, and I find it here, an AI color mode that selects a background that's black and white and then will isolate the color of people in the picture, and additionally a background blur which then gives a bokeh effect. And what's interesting here is it's much more effective than it was before. The AI has definitely been improved, and I suspect the Kirin 990 behind this is working really well. Another good feature of the Mate 30 Pro is slow motion videos. Now, we've all seen slow motion stuff before, but this time the effect is dramatic. This is a 7,680 frames per second video mode, and like all slow motion modes, as long as you've got the right subject, the results are astonishing. The other main reason you're going to be drawn to the Mate 30 Pro is this incredible screen. It measures 6.53 inches and the screen to body ratio is 94.1%. And that means you get a whole lot of screen and not very much body. And what makes that possible is this, the incredible 88-degree curve around the side. That means the screen cascades across the edge. And we've seen this a few times in mostly concepts, and it's become known as the waterfall screen. And it really is fantastic. It looks superb. There are some out there who are questioning why you'd want this. Well, it's not something you'll say, oh, I really need that, until you see the phone from the front. This is where the waterfall screen comes into its own. There are no bezels at the side. Literally no bezels, not those pretend, well, they're really small and we'll call them no bezels. There aren't any. The screen, remember, cascades over the edge. So when you're looking at the display, you're seeing it all. There are tiny bezels at the top and at the bottom, but that's it. There is nothing either side. And the effect, well, it's dramatic. You see more, and that is the honest truth. Let's talk a little bit more about the Mate 30 Pro's design and its features. Well, the phone is surprisingly light. It's only 198 grams. And when you consider this has got that 6.5-inch screen, that's pretty impressive. The new iPhone 11 Pro Max, for example, with the same size screen, well, that weighs 226 grams. And believe me, that difference is something you'll feel when you pick up those two phones together. It's pretty slim too, at 8.8 millimeters. And although that isn't the slimmest phone out there, there's a good reason for this. Inside is a 4,500 milliamp hour battery, and that's going to give us Huawei's famous long battery life. We're expecting this to be a 2-day phone, just like the P30 Pro. The power's great too. It's Huawei's new Kirin 990 processor inside. That comes with a brand new image signal processor for the camera and plenty of new artificial intelligence features. You can also buy the Mate 30 Pro with 5G. That version is slightly different to this, but you're going to get the same camera and you're going to get all of that extra fast data speeds. The security is excellent too. There's face unlock using a great 3D sensor at the front, and as you can see there, it's instant. There's no waiting around at all. Huawei's always been really good at this, but this one, it's amazingly fast. If you don't use that, you've got a fingerprint sensor below the screen as well, and that is also very fast and very accurate. That 3D sensor doesn't only use face unlock. Huawei has also added a series of gestures to the Mate 30 Pro, and they're 50% successful in that there are two and only one of them works. The first one, which does work, is a screenshot system. And you hold your hand in front of the phone like this, You'll see a little icon at the top showing that it's recognised the phone. You clench your fist and it takes a screenshot. That works every time, all the time, and it's really quite helpful. The other system is a system of scrolling, and you're supposed to wave your hand in front of the phone and scroll up and down pages, but either I haven't got the knack or it doesn't work, and that's a bit of a problem. Although, as with all of these gestures, I don't know how often I'd use it anyway. The final one is to do with the screen, and because of this 88-degree curve, there's no buttons on the side for the volume. So what Huawei has done is add in a touch gesture, so a virtual button on the side. It works well because it works when I ask it to, but it's not always very convenient, and I would prefer hardware buttons. You can adjust where this goes, so you could have it down here if you liked, and it does work on either side of the phone. And there's lovely haptic feedback every time you shift the volume. So it is intuitive, it does work, but I still prefer a set of hardware buttons. So the Huawei Mate 30 Pro has got it all. An incredible camera, a beautiful screen, tons of power, and a long-lasting battery. Except it hasn't got it all, has it? It hasn't got Google Play, hasn't got Google Pay, hasn't got all of those Google apps most of us are used to using every single day. It also hasn't got a final release date. We know it's coming sometime in October, but it won't be coming to Europe at that time, we don't think. And the price is also a little bit confusing. We know there's a euro price of approximately 1,100 euros, but we don't know a pound price, or even if it's going to be released in the UK. We do know it definitely won't get released in the US though. So that's a lot of question marks over the Mate 30 Pro. The one question mark there isn't is how good it is, because it's fantastic. Even in this short time using it, I want to use it more. And the fact that I can't buy it with the software I want on it and understand when I'm going to be able to buy it, well, it's a crime and it's a real shame, because this phone, it could very well be one of the best of the year.